Welcome in to another episode of Chiefs Focus Live. We've had a week off. We've got to decompress a little bit. And now the off season, at least for us, has officially begun. Today we're going to talk about some stuff that happened last week, like the NFLPA. We're going to talk about how I was right, or at least it's looking like I was right. And then
Here
we're
we
going to
have
make
that.
fun of the AFC West with Russell Wilson getting cut and the Raiders looking to trade up, among other things. We got Thiz running the show in the background. And now a guy who's ready to break down all of Chris Jones' tweets. It's the old man himself, JP. How are we doing on this lovely Tuesday evening?
Hey man, I'm good. I am good. It's nice and sunny here. It's 70 degrees. Can't complain at all.
I know it was 80 degrees on Sunday.
I
And
heard.
I was like, look, I like the warm weather. Don't get me wrong. It's too early for that. Can we extend the jeans and hoodie weather for like another 6 weeks? Okay. Can we
You'll
just
probably get it
get
anyway. I
out?
mean, you live in Missouri, dude. You
I
don't
know.
like the weather, just wait 5 minutes.
I know. No
No.
kidding. I mean, it was literally, it snowed. What? I think late last week, maybe Thursday
Mm-hmm.
night, and then it was 80 degrees on Sunday. I mean,
Yeah.
within a week, it was snow and then 80 degrees. And now we're back to like low 40s and then high is like 64 degrees. So
Well, at least you didn't get 12 feet of snow.
that's true.
Like, I mean, there's areas around here that got 12 feet of snow.
Oof.
So, I mean, that's insane. I was thinking about it up by Lake Tahoe, Reno, in that area. They got hammered. I mean, massive amounts of snow. Northern California. And I was thinking about that guy from the Avengers that got ran over by the snowplow, his own snowplow, by the way. I bet he didn't leave his house because he barely lived through the first one. No way he's going out to help another guy. Not in 12 foot of snow. Not going to happen. So I can't remember his name. Pretty good actor. But,
Hawkeye or
Hawkeye.
yeah.
Hawkeye. Yeah.
I don't
I
know
mean,
I remember the
he was in the
actor's
hospital for like 6 months and broke every bone in his body. So I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
he's, But anyway, yeah, it's been really nice here, man. We had a massive windstorm for 2 days straight, 81 mile an hour winds.
Oof.
It was insane. We lost shit we didn't even know we had. I mean, I was like, where the hell did this come from? My wife said, that was in the garage. The garage door was shut, right? Yeah. Well, fuck that happened. Anyway, yeah, we had shit everywhere, dude. I mean, it was mayhem. Cats and dogs running the streets. It was nuts. Birds slamming into the house. But now it's nice, man. 70 degrees. This is our trend up to warm weather. We get into the 70s, high 60s, low 70s for about 3 weeks, and then it's 112. So, anyway, we got some football action to talk about, or
We
non-football
do.
action.
Let's get this one out of the way first. This came out last week. The NFLPA started to do this last year, and Kansas City did not rank great on some of this list. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. At first, when you see it, there's kind of a shock factor to it because you're like, what? The team that just won the Super Bowl is ranked, towards the bottom of the league in a lot of categories. And then you read why they rank so low. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care. I don't care that the Chiefs are rated low and that the players don't feel that their locker room is big enough, or that players don't feel like that their locker room, their actual individual locker isn't big enough. I don't care that, about 20% of the team doesn't feel like they have enough hot tub space, or that 19% of the team doesn't feel like that they have enough cold tub space. I just think that part of the problem is that you're playing in your facility is 50 years old. The other part of the problem is you've got a lot of these guys coming from Alabama and LSU and Clemson, where your facilities are used as a recruitment tool.
Yeah.
And you have, donors that are giving money specifically to build these facilities for these colleges. And that's not what that's not how the NFL works or the real world works. And so when you have, people complaining on these lists that, they're upset that they don't get, 3 meals a day paid for by the team. I mean, I just can't care. I just can't care that much.
So the Chiefs aren't paying for meals now? Because they did forever.
They do. They pay for food on like game days.
Yeah, I was going to say game days. They definitely
pay for some meals, but there are other teams that pay for more meals. I mean, it's just like.
Oh man, did you see what the Chargers were bitching about? That was the best one yet. Man, we got to pay $50 to have our kids get watched. Wait a minute. Hold up. Look, in the 14 years that I spent around the league, especially with the Chiefs, in the locker room, on the field, the only time we ever had a kid there, well, Derek brought his kid, and my son was there. They played in the freaking equipment room. They come out wrapped in tape, slamming into the tables with helmets on their head. But I don't understand how $50 is pissing you off that bad.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs provide daycare, across the street on game day. Like I don't know.
Your fucking wives, man. What the hell is your wife doing? You're not supposed to, it's not bringing your kid to work every day. That's once a year. If you don't have a wife or a girlfriend that's watching your kid, that's on you. I mean, you make enough money people out here pay a hell of a lot more than that for daycare.
Yeah, no kidding.
Weekly. So stop bitching about daycare when you're making, even if you're making league minimum, that's a pretty damn good paycheck every Monday. I think you can handle.
That's why I can't give a shit about it.
No, gives a fuck.
Now, one of the things that I do feel like that I'm completely on board with the players is that they talk about that there were promises made on how they were going to improve some of the locker room and some stuff like that, and those improvements were never made. I'm completely on board with that. If promises were made to you by your employee and and those didn't come through, your employer didn't come through, that would piss me off. So if that happened, I'm completely on board with you.
But if that happened, and who knows when it was supposed to happen?
I just can't care.
I mean, they didn't say.
I can't care.
Honestly, and I don't think Clark Hunt went in there and said we're going to have this done by April 18th of 2022. I don't think he did that. I imagine he said we're going to get this done at some point. Okay. There's no really time frame on that. And honestly, I mean, to bitch about that now, if you guys had to play the way these guys played back in the day, you should have seen the locker room when Derek and everybody was there. It wasn't pretty. There was a big-ass folding table in the middle of the room. I'll never forget it because our kids tripped over it. It was not a nice locker room. It was just a room. Wasn't nothing special about it. I don't know. I guess everybody's getting bougie these days, but whatever. And a lot of what people have to understand as well, some of these players that rank this are from last year. This is last year's rankings. This isn't 2023. It's actually the end of 2022 when that gets put out, when they get asked, when the survey goes out. A lot of those players aren't even here anymore. That happened the year before we got a low grade. We ended up switching out, half our football team. But everybody complained. Tyreek complained. Everybody complained, but they weren't here anymore. It is what it is. Who gives a shit? I mean, they're happy enough to stick around to get them fat rings that Clark keeps giving them. So yeah. I think they're okay.
All right, let's move on to our next topic. It's a sad day here in Kansas City. Guys, I feel like I need to apologize for this.
You should because you're real shit into existence, you prick.
And it's on me,
Yeah, everybody out 150.
I want to apologize as the sad violin music plays in the background.
Sick.
Because I said that the Colts, if I spoke it into existence, Kansas City would sign Michael Pittman Jr. The Colts went ahead and franchise tagged him. I apologize for that. I was wrong. That's my fault.
Oh, I don't care about that. I knew that. I kind of knew that was coming to a degree. And I knew Mike Evans definitely was going to get signed. I'm not worried about that.
He got franchise tagged for $21.8 million. Some of the other guys that officially got tagged today, T. Higgins from the Bengals, who got tagged. Josh Allen, the edge rusher from Jacksonville. The edge rusher from Carolina, Brian Burns, which I think was that 2 years ago that everybody felt like Kansas City should trade for him.
Well, it was a close. They were in discussions, so it wasn't like it was a.
I think it's Madubuike is how you say his name, from the defensive tackle from Baltimore. The Bears franchise tagged Jalen Johnson, a corner, and the Buccaneers franchise tagged Antoine Winfield, a safety. The Kansas City Chiefs put on the franchise tag on L'Jarius Sneed. And note here, open to a trade.
They're not open to a trade yet. They're letting him go out. Damn, I hate when people listen to media and actually fall into that trap. All they're doing is is they're allowing him to go out and seek a contract or an offer so they can either match it or trade him. That's all they're doing.
I think we're getting close to a Q was right.
I don't
think
like
that's where
that.
we're getting at.
You will shit into existence. Everybody out there, that's what he does. That's why his name says.
I think
now
we're
we
there.
got
We're
now we
getting
got
there.
banners. God, what is this? A Nick Wright show?
I think
Holy
we're getting
shit.
there.
Unbelievable.
I said that the Kansas City was going to tag him and trade him out. That the reason and my reason behind it is that you need to trust the process that you have done that has made you successful. Kansas City has been successful in drafting and developing their own corners, and so when it came to a guy like L'Jarius Sneed, you need to continue to do what you've been effective at, because once you've paid your quarterback, you need to do things that work money around the edges. And I don't know if you should be giving a corner $20 million a year when,
I don't like what you're
thank
saying.
you, Philip. I appreciate the receipts.
Yeah, it's not receipts. You will shit into existence, Mike Florio. Anyway, Mike Florio usually doesn't get his wish, though.
I'll say that, and then I'll let you talk. I think it's the correct move for Kansas City, because by getting more draft assets, then you can go ahead and improve other spots around the team where you know that you need to spend more draft assets. I think you need to trust your process, and a place that you have been the most effective at drafting over this entire time frame. You have been hitting guys left and right towards the back end of the draft. L'Jarius Sneed was a 4th-round pick, right?
I know what he was.
Taylor Watson is a back-around pick. You've got all these guys that are later in the draft, and so I think you just need to continue to do what you've been doing well and move on from Sneed by getting some assets for him.
Okay, well, just to put this into context, last season, Sneed was targeted 90 times. You know how many touchdowns he gave up in those 90 times?
I assume we're just talking regular season.
Yes, regular season.
Yeah, he didn't give up a touchdown.
Exactly. Not one fucking touchdown.
Yeah.
Not one. Can you name me one other CB in the league that did that on 90 targets?
Let's just take a stab in the dark and just say 0.
Exactly. Yeah. Not even Sauce Gardner. Nobody even came close to that last year. I don't think, look, if you can figure out a way, just like they did Mike Evans, okay? I knew that was coming. I had no doubt in my mind. Evans got signed to a 2-year, $52 million deal. It's backloaded, and he got $28 million in guaranteed money. What is he going to walk away with? $28 million in guaranteed money, and maybe $3 or $4 million a year for 2 years. That's fine. If you can figure out a way of working a deal out with somebody, then you do it, especially somebody that's of that talent. I don't care if you make little trades here and there and you move your 3rd and 4th or 4th and 5th round wide receivers or things like that. Keep your core guys. That's my only problem, because just like this year or this past season, when the offense wasn't doing so great, I guarantee you we wouldn't have been even close to where we were at without L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah, you're right. He was a huge part of this defense. But unfortunately, when you're spending the money that you are right now, yes, technically right now Kansas City can afford to keep him on the roster on the franchise tag. But if you want to make moves in free agency, significant moves in free agency, like bringing in a wide receiver, right now Kansas City has $9 million in cap space. You need about $6 million of that to sign your draft picks. So
depending on what they do with the Sneed, if they ended up with a 1st and a 2nd, which is what I'm hearing they would probably get, is a 1st and a 2nd, then okay, and then you're going to get a compensatory pick with it.
Well, you won't get, if you trade him, you won't get a compensatory
pick. Oh, you won't get
pick.
the compensatory pick. Yeah,
I would be if Kansas City got you're sending him to Philadelphia, right? Philadelphia has 2 second-round picks. If you get a number 50 overall this year and you get a pick for the 2025 NFL draft, I'd be happy with that. I would be, if you're going to trade with a team like the Lions, the Packers, the Cowboys, some of these back-end first-round guys, I think that's a real option for Kansas City to have.
Well, here you go. I'll give you an example of something. Thiz will know I told him this. We talked about this on the phone the other night because I heard it. Don't rule out Miami. Because
they just cut Xavier Howard, right?
Correct.
So, yeah.
Well, the funny part about that was after Thiz and I talked about it, I think it was yesterday. It popped up on somebody's feed, some reporter's feed. I think it might have been Albert Breer or somebody, that Miami was looking to try to figure out a way of trading for him.
If we're gonna talk AFC teams, I do think that the Colts should be on people's minds as a team that needs to have to rebuild that defense. That's definitely a team in the AFC that I think everybody should keep an eye on. Look, Mina Kimes put out an article and she made a list of teams that are corner. She called them corner hungry teams that are in need of corners.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 20 or 23 teams in the NFL that are in need of a true corner. I think the market's going to be out there for L'Jarius Sneed. Take
Oh,
advantage of it.
absolutely.
You have been very good at drafting corners. I know I make a lot of baseball comparisons on this show because, well, one, the baseball season starts in like 3 weeks and I'm excited for it. But also, the way Kansas City has used their cornerbacks, I think they should see what the Rays have done with pitching, where they haven't signed guys to huge long-term deals. They've gotten them cheap. They've developed their own guys, and instead of going out and paying them huge money in free agency, they've sent them somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
trusted their development, gotten more pitching, and then eventually traded them away. Kansas City needs to do that with the cornerback room because you can use the assets you get for the cornerback room and get other important parts of your team set up.
I agree to an extent. Again, it's really difficult when if you're talking about even Jalen Ramsey for that matter. Okay, he's a tradable piece. He has been for a long time. That's why he's been traded a few times. I don't know. Snead's 28 years old. I don't know that if it was, I guess if I had the opportunity to be able to keep him and he was willing to stay on a decent deal, I would try to figure that out because it's really hard to replace him. It's kind of like trying to replace Chris Jones on the line.
Yeah,
You really
that and
can't do
that
that.
we'll talk about that here in a minute, but I think that L'Jarius Sneed is replaceable. I think one of the things that also happens, and this I know pisses people off because I've said this a lot and I've gotten a lot of backlash for it.
Well, you piss me off every time we do a show, so
That's
I'm
true.
used to it.
I'm the reason that your beard is gray now. When we first started
Absolutely.
the show, I mean, it was lush and full of color like mine. But I mean, I did this show for like 18 months, and it's like.
Now I got heart issues, and I mean, go ahead. What were you saying?
I think that the thing that L'Jarius Sneed gets credit for that I'm not sure he should get credit for is his blitzing, because that to me is a scheme thing. I
But
don't
you have to
think
be
that
able to do it.
I don't think that that's something that he should get, all as much credit as he gets for doing it. Because if you're able to get athletic corners, then it's a scheme. It's the scheme that's helping you out there. It's not L'Jarius Sneed is so unique that allows him to be a great blitzer. I think that that's just the kind of athletic corner that Kansas City drafts and is able to get schemed up because Spagnuolo is so damn good at his job. So
I agree with that, but also you have to look at it from okay, there's timing involved in that, there's speed involved in that, and you have to not overrun the play. And Snead is very good at that.
yeah, I'm not. I don't want to overcorrect and make it seem like I'm giving him no credit because one of the things that I will always remember about Snead's time in Kansas City is when he was adjusting his gloves while he was playing the slot and was able to sack Tom Brady. And Tom Brady talked about how, man, he saw Snead adjusting his gloves and was for sure that he was going to cover
Yeah.
the whatever wide receiver it was. That he was convinced that Snead was going out in coverage, but he was able to trick him up. Like, I don't want to take it away as to be like, oh,
and that's a smart move. You got to
yeah,
admit that. That is an extremely intelligent play right there.
100%. I do not want to take anything away in the sense that obviously the guy on the field has to be able to make the play. So
Absolutely.
he is responsible for the plays that he made. But I also don't want to go completely on the opposite direction and be all like, he's the only one that could do it. It's only him. We got to keep Snead because of his ability to blitz.
I get it.
No, it's not that either. So I just think that we need to take a step back. And if/when Snead is not on this team for the 2025 NFL season, that's okay.
Okay. Anyway, can we move on from this conversation? Because I'm starting to get a chest pain.
Yeah, that's that's fine. We've got let the trolling begin.
Yeah.
Look, we have seen that Chris Jones is once again active on the Twitter sphere, and I know you're the one that wanted to talk about this, so why don't you take it away?
Look, man, everybody on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it, is flipping out right now. Chris Jones has done this every single time he's up for contract.
Yeah.
2019, he had everybody thinking he was going somewhere else. 2022, he had everybody thinking he was going somewhere else. This is what Chris does. What started this all was some dumbass Raiders fan popped on and said, "Wouldn't you like to play with Max Crosby? Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?" And the next thing you know, Chris Jones jumped on it and ran with it. I do think he can, Will. I absolutely think they can get a first rounder for Snead. At least one. He's better than Ramsey, and they got 2 first-round picks for him. So
yeah, 2 first round picks and a 5th round pick was what Ramsey was.
I mean, and Snead is better, no doubt in my mind. And anybody that thinks he's not, they're on crack. But Chris likes to do this. He loves to troll. He loves to jack with people. This is just something he does. He's actually surprised that everybody still falls for it. It's kind of like when you stick your finger out and say, "Hey, look at this." That's what he does, and everybody continues to fall for it. He's jacking with you people. He doesn't want to leave Kansas City. They are this close to a deal. This close. They're that close to getting him done. Not going anywhere. I wouldn't worry about it. If he leaves, I'll be 100% surprised. But I don't think he's going anywhere. From what I understand, from everything I've heard and everything I understand right now on this, he's 100% focused on getting a deal done with Kansas City. He doesn't want to leave. He's got friends in Kansas City. The one stipulation he kind of had a little bit was trying to bring everybody back, which he knows that it's not possible. But the core, I will say this, I don't think he really cares if Willie Gay comes back. But everybody else, he wanted Snead to come back, but he knows it can't happen. It's either his money or Snead's money. He knows Snead's going to get paid somewhere else what he deserves. Chris wants to get paid in Kansas City. So he has to make that decision. Do you want to take a little less? Go ahead. But from what I'm understanding, the deal's somewhere between $26.5 and $27.5 a year on Chris Jones.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about it. Quit freaking out every time he posts something. He does this every year, and it's so funny because everybody just falls into this shit.
It's so consistent. And I think that's when you're a star player, when you're not only a star player at your position, but at an important pass rush position, but you also just have a personality to begin with. Like Chris Jones is a fun player.
He's a funny-ass dude, man. He's funny.
So I think people, gravitate towards that. Plus, it's easy to see him all over the social media because if you're following him, you're going to get update every time he does it. So I think that's also part of it.
And he gets paid for it. I mean, that's what people don't get. The more shit he puts out there and the more views he gets on it, the more money he makes. It may not be a lot of money, but he makes money off of it. He's not dumb. He's building his brand. He's doing the things that he does. It's comical. Last year when he did it, I had messaged him and I said, "Man, you got the entire kingdom flipping the fuck out." He sent back 3 laughy faces. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just Chris, man. Everybody's got to quit worrying about what he's doing because he's been here this will be his 8th season was 2023. Okay, 8 years in Kansas City. He hates everybody in Las Vegas. He doesn't like the Raiders. He absolutely hates the Bengals. He can't stand Josh Allen. Where's he going to play at? Where's he going to go that he's going to be as happy as he is and still get rings? What's up, Colin? It's not going to happen.
I don't think that there is a contender out there necessarily. I guess if you want to say the Texans, if you want to count them as a contender, they have a lot of cap space. I know the Lions have a lot of cap space. Those are probably the only 2 teams I can think of that are good and have cap space available to go and sign him for a high 20s, low 30s $million a year contract.
Well, he's not near 30, and I don't think anybody would actually. Well, there's a couple.
If he hits free agency, he's gonna hit the 30 mark.
I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. Teams are smart enough to know that they can't really do that on one defensive player.
2 defensive players already are making that much.
I know, and that's the problem. Look at those teams. They're releasing their wide receivers. They're releasing some of their offensive linemen. They can't pay everybody that kind of money.
Yeah, the 49ers are paying Bosa $35 million a year.
Yeah, and look what they're
And
losing because of that, though.
I mean, in the Rams are paying Aaron Donald, and
Yeah, but look at
those
them.
are
That's my point, though. You can pay one guy that kind of money. That's fine if you want to do that stupid shit. But in the grand scheme of things, where are they at right now? Yeah, they've made appearances, but they haven't really done anything with it.
also, it helps that the 49ers aren't paying their quarterback.
Well, absolutely. And look, people still forget that Mahomes' contract is all bonus structured, 100% bonus structured. They can work around the cap. The cap is easily manipulated. So if they wanted to take Mahomes' $45 million and turn it into a bonus structure this year, or even half of it, that just adds a ton of money to the cap.
Yeah, his cap hit for the 2024 season is $54 million.
$54 million.
Mm-hmm.
So if you took, say, half of that and turned it into a bonus structure money, how much money does that give you back in the cap?
His contract, he has a 35.6 million dollars can be restructured.
Correct.
For his money. So you can move $36 million, let's just call it. You can kick that down the road, some variation of that.
Or you can just put it into an upfront bonus structure
So,
that comes out of Carcon's pocket, which would be nice to do. Chris Jones will get paid by the Chiefs. Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. Again, he's real close to getting it done. I mean, I said something on the last show we did that they were going to franchise tag Snead at some point. Knew that was coming. What they did with it, it's really up to them. I know Spagnuolo is not happy about Snead leaving, but the one thing I will tell you is that he will not let Chris Jones go. They are very close. Just as friends, they're very close. They go to church together on Saturday nights. They're very close. So,
I don't think you can let both go.
No. You'd be a dumbass to do that.
If Snead isn't going to be back because you're trading him, then one, that opens up a ton of money because you're not paying a corner $20 million. And right now, as of right now, this moment, he's on the books for $20 million. L'Jarius Snead is. And that money is fully guaranteed. You can't move that. There's no restructuring. There's nothing you can do with that money. It is $20 million locked in. That's it.
Well, no, that's not true. You can actually take that. If you franchise tag him, yeah, it's going to show 20 million on the books, but if you extend him at any point,
yes, if you give him a new contract, then that's different. But yeah. I'm telling you, but if he is not, L'Jarius Snead is not signing a long-term deal with Kansas City.
I don't think so either.
Really don't. If he plays on the franchise tag because Kansas City doesn't end up trading him for whatever reason, maybe they don't like the whatever assets that another team, right? Maybe the market isn't out there as much as we think it is. He is not playing on the 2025-2026 Kansas City Chiefs.
No, I agree. But Chris Jones, I don't get it twisted. This guy doesn't want to leave Kansas City.
How many years do you think the Chris Jones contract ends up being?
Probably 3 with a 4-year option because they can get out of it.
Team option or him option?
Team option.
Okay.
It's not going to be a him option. The team's going to look. He's going to be 30 years old this year, so you got to really kind of pick and choose how you work this. In my opinion, last time the contract got held up on guaranteed money and also fully guaranteed medical, as far as that's concerned, injury guarantees. I don't think it's going to be a problem this time. He's kind of mellowed out. I know that they've moved up in their little assessment of things. So you give him a 3 to a 4-year contract with an out for the team, it's a done deal. And you give him the right fully guaranteed money. The guy deserves, I don't care what anybody thinks, he deserves 50, 60 million guaranteed.
I'm with you there. I think it looks about 3 years, $86 million, and somewhere around that $40 to $50 million guaranteed.
Probably.
So basically about 2 years of that becomes guaranteed.
Yeah.
I mean, however they want to divide it out, something like that, where he basically makes another $50 million off of this contract, and they divide the cap hit out however
over a 5-year period.
See fit to make
do
money
it
work.
Long. Yeah.
But that's what I think. I do think it has to end up being 3 years, $86-ish million, which would be about $28 million a year.
And that's where he's right between. He's between that 26 and 27.5 range. So I think it would work out just fine for him. And as long as the money's guaranteed, the right money's guaranteed for that 3 years, he's not going to care because he knows he's getting paid regardless. I mean, he's made like $120 million with the Chiefs. He's not going anywhere. So I think he's okay. By the way, I do want to bring this up before we transition. Did you watch? I'm sure you did. Anybody out there that didn't watch this? Did anybody watch the Jason Kelsey retirement presser?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't crying. For everybody out there that thought I was crying, I wasn't crying. I wanted to cry. My wife thought I was crying. My dog came up and hugged me. But yeah, I wasn't crying. Maybe a little. I was crying a little bit. The guy killed me. Look, I've seen a lot of shit. That was probably the second hardest thing in the NFL that I've had to deal with. And that is the second. I will say second. That was hard.
It
The man
was.
walked in the room crying.
You know what is so great about both of the Kelseys is that they are unapologetically who they are,
Yeah,
and they're unapologetically good people, and
absolutely.
they're genuine, right?
Yeah,
Like, I don't think either one of them has ever like got up on a podium and like when Travis Kelsey retires, it will not be like that, but everything he says he's going to mean it.
yeah.
And I think that's what's so great about both of those guys is that they
I
are
can't say
true
that it
to
won't be
who
like
they
that
are.
though,
And
Quentin.
I thought that, him standing up there and talking about the good times and the bad and
Mm-hmm.
everything in between, I thought that it was really great to hear about his life experience over the past decade in such a relatively short amount of time.
Yeah, it
And
was a
so I thought
45-minute
that
presser,
was,
so you know.
yeah, I thought that was awesome to just see somebody put themselves out there and just say, this is how I'm feeling about everything.
And I got to tell you, I don't know that Travis won't be as emotional. He was crying during Jason's retirement.
His won't be 45 minutes.
Oh, I doubt it. I doubt that. He won't let it go 45 minutes because I don't think he can handle it. I was kind of surprised that Jason lasted as long as he did. And a lot of that was just him not being able to get the words out of his mouth. I understand that. That's a hard thing to have to deal with.
Yeah,
My wife's in the other room and I'm listening to it and she goes, "Who the hell's blubbering on TV?" I'm like, "Hey, take it easy, man." I mean, she didn't understand why I was even kind of teared up. That was hard to watch.
it was. It was really nice to see an NFL player stand up there and just be like, "This is how I'm feeling about
This is
everything."
who I am.
Yeah, I
That's
thought
it. This is
that
who I
was the
am.
best part about it.
Yeah, he didn't have to. And you're right. A lot of these
He could have
players,
just sent the tweet out and called it good.
exactly. A lot of
Like he
players
didn't
do.
have to do that, and that's it was awesome to just see somebody be who they are, and that was
Exactly.
it.
And a lot of players exactly do. What's up, Joe? Uh, Colin, I agree with you. He's 28. I mean, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to bring him back, but you never know. Weird things have happened with this team. But yeah, man, it was heart wrenching because when he talked about Garrett and he talked about everybody that everything that went on, people that passed away, it's just hard, to sit there and listen to all that. And I mean, the love he has for Andy Reid is unparalleled because Andy gave him a start, just like he, basically gave Travis his, chance in the league. So they could have gotten rid of Travis numerous times, but they didn't. They hung on to him. Smart move. And he turned out to be a great individual. Yeah, he had some issues when he was younger, but it is what it is. I was blown away that Jason was. I knew he was going to be emotional. I didn't know he was going to be that bad. But then 2 days later, well, actually a day and a half later, he's up jumping off of a truck into a burning table because of what he saw when we played Buffalo. He's a nut
It's
job, and I loved it about him. The guy is just, and look, to show up in a pair of flip flops to your retirement presser, nobody ever does that. He does.
whatever he decides to do post football,
It's going to be phenomenal.
he's gonna be great at it.
Oh my
He
God.
if he wants to sit in a if he wants to sit in a network, pregame, if he wants to go and be on the field talking to the players after the game like they do at Amazon, if he wants to go do radio or all he wants to do is the podcast and he just wants to spend, all of his time with his two daughters, whatever he decides to do in media, and he's going to keep doing something in media,
Oh,
even if it is
absolutely.
just the podcast. Everything that whatever he decides to do, he's going to be great at it. He is going to be so good at providing a different insight because there's just so little offensive linemen out there. And the thing is that he's going to provide such a unique aspect, and it's going to be great.
Well, guys have already said that he is already a commentator. He's got it down pat. And I have a feeling he's going to do that, but I think he's going to do it only in Philly. I don't think he's going to do the traveling for it. I just don't believe it. Because, again, what you just said makes every bit of difference. He wants to be there for his kids. Like his dad was there for him, his mom was there for him. He wants to be present. And I think that's something that is really, he doesn't need the money. He's smart enough to do it. And the podcast is making a killing. So he's just fine. But I got to tell you, agree with you, Joe, 100%. I don't think anybody has been as genuine as him when it comes to the retirement speech. He was just him, and that's just the way it is. If you don't like Jason Kelsey, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, there's something absolutely wrong with you. And, something I want to bring up. He said something during that made me want to say this. He said, my dream was to play my entire football career within one city. Travis has that same dream. So everybody out there that wonders why Travis plays for less money to make the team better and all that, because he wanted to play with one team through his career. And that's exactly what he's doing. He doesn't want to play for anybody else. He wants to stay in Kansas City. He wants to finish his career there and then move on from there and do whatever it is. He's got offers from everybody. Saturday Night Live, everybody's doing things. But it tells you how old school mentality was like that. Derek Thomas wanted to stay in Kansas City. Him and I had numerous conversations about that. He never wanted to leave Kansas City. If he said, if they ever trade me like they did Neil or not sign me back, I would just retire because I don't want to leave Kansas City. In fact, anybody that was alive back then, or even watching football for that matter, everybody lost their friggin' minds when Neil Smith went to Denver. They couldn't believe it was such a show of betrayal to Kansas City. And to the players. The players were pissed. Derek was a little pissed. It wasn't horrible. I mean, they were really good friends, so it wasn't like he was wanting to kill him or anything, but he wasn't real happy about it. But Neil got a ring out of it. So kind of is what it is. Back in those days, you stuck with the team that you were with.
Yeah. We do have some parts of Kelsey's speech that we can go ahead and play and talk about just to give you an idea in case you missed it. Just how great of a guy that he truly is.
Absolutely.
This is where it's going to go off the rails. Nice, Brett. I won't forget falling short to the Chiefs and the conflicted feeling of immense heartbreak I had selfishly. For myself and for my teammates. And at the same time, the amount of pride I had that my brother had climbed the mountaintop once again. We have a small family. We have a small family. No cousins. One aunt, one uncle. It was really my brother and I our whole lives.
Man, he does it to me every time, son of a bitch.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we could move on to our next topic, but yeah, that I think it's important. If you hadn't seen it, you should go watch the clips on
absolutely
YouTube or you don't need to watch the whole 45 minutes because there have been people that have taken the best clips out. But yeah, you should go ahead and check those out because
and not only that, it's on NFL Plus. If you got NFL.com, if you have the app, the entire thing's still there. I don't think they're going to take it down for a long time. Colin said, "I'm done." Yeah, that was the hardest thing. I mean, that was hard to watch. It really was. But hey, man, all props to that guy. Honestly,
yeah, that's probably future Hall of Famer. Which
He's a
is
first ballot Hall of Famer, that guy.
which is hard to say for a guy that plays offensive line.
Hey, man,
No.
I know two guys that made it, and one was Willie Rofe, that I've known for a long time, and Will Shields. And both of those guys, it's very hard to get an offensive lineman into the Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
And you got to be a special individual to be able to get in any part of the offensive line. Doesn't matter what part it is.
There's
Centers,
no like stats. There's
there's
no
no
like.
stats.
There's
Yeah,
no. You can't look at a box score and be like, man, that center played real good today.
exactly.
But you can look at a box score and be like, man, that wide receiver, 150 yards. Woo, he
Exactly.
was cooking them today.
Yeah.
No.
It's just difficult. I mean, to be an offensive lineman and get into the Hall of Fame, and he's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's no doubt in my mind. Anyway, you're talking about Snead, Colin? I didn't realize that.
Speaking of guys that love getting cooked, Russell Wilson
Whoo.
got cooked today when he got cut. The only Russell Wilson got cut. It is now the most dead cap space in NFL history.
Hey, you know what though? Denver is actually keeping up with their trend. They love giving money away to the wrong people, and they continue. By the way, I don't know if you guys know, but Russell Wilson's selling his house in Colorado for $34 million. If you guys are interested, just saying. Anyway, move on.
He $85 million. The QB drought for the Broncos continues. The post Peyton Manning curse, which is just couldn't happen to a better franchise, in my opinion. In my humble opinion, couldn't happen to a better franchise. This is just, this is kind of what we were expecting in the sense that, we figured that there was the possibility of him getting cut, but man, that cap hit is just ridiculous.
Man, they have gotten look at their past 5 years with cap, and not only that, with they put themselves in draft hell. They gave up everything for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Then they not only that, they actually gained some of it back by getting rid of other star players that they had on their football team.
I think that what's crazy about it is that this is the worst trade in NFL history. Depending on what happens with Deshaun Watson, if Deshaun Watson starts to play like above average quarterback play, then the Russell Wilson trade is the worst ever.
Yeah.
And it's partially because of the contract extension he signed before he even showed up in Denver. Yeah. They just handed him his pile of money. They traded for him. They said, here you go, buddy. Here's a fat contract, even though you still have 2 years left on your deal and you haven't even put a GAM jersey on yet. But here you go. Here's a bunch of money to you.
So it tells you how much money he had when he bought that house.
It wasn't necessarily the trade. Yeah, the draft assets and the giving up your backup quarterback and tight end. It's tough. It was a lot. But what made it just so horrible was that you tied yourself to him with the money and you couldn't go out and do anything else when you didn't have to. He wasn't on an expiring deal.
It's amazing to me. I thought that when the team was sold and John Elway was out of the way, because he is the curse.
You know what? I miss John Elway being
He's an idiot.
That they were so much worse when he was there. And
I agree with you. And he's the reason why they've been so bad for so long. When Manning crushed all of his records in a matter of 2 years, that it took Elway 17 to amass, it was like, oh, fuck, I'm not letting this happen. Why do you think he signed Brock Osweiler twice? You don't sign up Brock Osweiler
drafted
twice.
Paxton Lynch.
Yeah. Come on, man. Elway said, I'm not going to have another quarterback take anything from me. Anything. He was just he's been a mess for a long time. He should have stuck with the car dealerships. But whatever. I'm glad that they're shit. I'm glad that they're having the problems that they're having. It doesn't hurt my feelings. But it's comical to sit here and go, wow. You really think about 30% of their cap is gone because of Russell Wilson.
Well, Russell Wilson, right, they have $49 million in dead cap money this year. And then they've got more money rolling over, more dead cap space rolling over into next year. And they've got another $10 million in dead cap space from Randy Gregory, Brandon McManus, Frank Clark. So they've got one Patrick Mahomes contract worth of dead money sitting on the books the next couple years.
Absolutely. And they're going to have to get a quarterback out of the draft, or they pick up somebody's third stringer, because you can't afford to pay anybody.
Yeah.
How are you going to pay him? It's amazing to me that a team operates that way. I was really surprised that the Waltons let that happen, but kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
You can't change it. Colin, I'm going to get to that here in just a little bit, buddy. We're going to get to all the questions in a minute.
Yeah, let's make fun of another AFC West franchise. The Las Vegas Raiders are looking to reportedly – the Raiders could make a splash in the 2024 NFL Draft, exploring the possible trade-up in the first round. And you would be like, oh, that makes sense. You need a quarterback. No. Reportedly, they're looking up to draft a corner.
Hold on 1 second. Hey, Junior, jump off and go on to YouTube if you're having issues. For some reason, it's hard on X. Don't know why. Always has been. Facebook is a little better, but YouTube is the best one to be on right now. Yeah, I agree with you. What
dysfunctional franchises do dysfunctional things, and we're just lucky.
You're doing this when you don't even have a quarterback.
Dysfunctional franchises are going to keep doing dysfunctional things. Plus, here's the thing. Let's say they are looking to draft a quarterback, okay? Where are you going to get to? You're not getting one.
No.
You're not getting to two. Okay, so the third quarterback might be either Drake May or Jaden Daniels from LSU, right? Because Caleb Williams is going 1 to the Bears. Either Drake May or Daniels is going 2 to Washington. Yeah. So if you're looking to trade up, your best possibility is going to get to number 3 overall with the Patriots, and you're getting the third best quarterback, the third option, the bronze. That's what you're looking to get. So even if you're able to draft a quarterback this year, you're getting the third option. And you're going to tie yourself to that guy?
I don't get it, man. I really don't.
Up, you're going to have to give up your first-round pick this year. You're going to have to give up your first-round pick next year. And some other combination of assets in order to get up that far. Because you're moving up 10 spots. They're drafted at 13 right now.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing, and that could be smoke and mirrors too. Who knows? But I don't see why they would jump up for a CB. I don't get it. But again, if they have somebody in mind at the quarterback position, I don't know who that would be at this moment. You never know. If they have someone in mind that's already in the league, I'll just put it that way, in some form or fashion, whether it be a backup or a third string guy or somebody on a practice squad, who knows? But the Chiefs welcome the stupidity. Absolutely, Joe.
You know what?
Keep being dumb.
One of the Broncos and the Raiders.
Keep being stupid. We love stupidity, and we're in a stupid conference. So there's not much we can do about it. The AFC West is a fucking disaster. We're just happy to be in it.
Yeah.
But then I can understand, the smoke and mirrors thing. You go and you trade up for, you lie to somebody and say, I want to trade up and get so-and-so or whoever. And then you trade for like a badass tight end. Okay. Maybe you're trading for a wide receiver. Who knows? But they haven't had a really good tight end since Darren Waller, and he wasn't that great because he was constantly on the bench. He was always in a tent. Kind of like how he's been with the Giants, always in a tent. Had good numbers until he got injured constantly. I have a feeling that's smoke and mirrors. I don't think Antonio Pierce is that fucking stupid. I could be wrong. I just don't believe he's that stupid. And I think they're going to go after another player that maybe they have a feeling that another team in the AFC wants, another player that a team wants. Who knows? I know the Chiefs are looking at tight ends in the draft. They've already worked out a couple. Brock Bowers is a player that I would see them going after. You're right. Telesco is that stupid. I forgot. He's a dumb bastard.
Yeah. We'll talk later in the week. And really every show coming on until the draft about different guys. I've got a list of guys that I want to talk
about. I'm saying Brock Bowers is that guy that if you want to take somebody away from an AFC team, he'd be the guy that you're going to, the second coming of of Kelsey. And it's just something that I could see them doing. The problem with that is that you can go and get, just like I've said year in and year out constantly, you can go and draft anybody you want to draft. It really makes zero difference who you draft. You have to be able to fucking develop them. And if you don't have the coaching staff to be able to do that, there's no point in ruining someone's career. And teams do it constantly. Cincinnati's done it. The Bills have done it. Everybody does this to try and one-up the Chiefs. Over the last 6 years, how many people have been drafted because they want to one-up the Chiefs? How many of those players are anywhere near the caliber that they should be, that they were in college? Very few.
Yeah.
At the end of the season last year, Kincaid started to come on pretty strong. He looked really good against us. I wanted him in Kansas City. Faith Lutheran guy. My daughter goes to Faith Lutheran. I was all excited. I thought that, sure, if the Cowboys if the Cowboys allow us to trade with them, which they didn't, we'd have got Kincaid. But that didn't happen. So I know the Chiefs are looking for I don't know if they're signing a free agent tight end. I don't know about that. I know they're looking for one in the draft. They've already worked out a couple. So to me, with the Raiders, if Telesco's that fucking dumb, hey, I'm all for it. I got no complaints here. I mean, that'd be the best. Honest to God, we'd make fun of him all freaking off season. If he trades up for a cornerback in the draft, we are going to make fun of him, and I got to get a clip. We have to get a clip of that war room because the excitement on his coming out of that room is going to be so palatable, and we're going to just make fun of it, kind of like we do with the Bills every time we talk about the Bills.
Yeah,
we have that clip. It's hilarious.
We do have that clip.
I love it.
According to Ian Rappaport, Pacers are trading back.
New England has traded six. Kansas City is now on the clock.
Meanwhile, the Patriots just traded down. The Chiefs just traded up from 29.
Did you hear it? Did you hear it at the end, everybody?
There's a certain phrase that isn't subtitled in that clip.
He said, fuck. I love it. I love it. I live for that clip. But yeah, we got to get a clip of that. I want to see that war room, and I really want to see it if somehow the Chiefs trade up. Just saying.
All right, I think it's that's everything that I have on the old list here. So let's go ahead and answer some questions. So any questions that you got, throw them in the chat. Tiz will throw them up on the screen here, and we can go through them. We've got a little less than 10 minutes left in the show, so we'll start answering some questions.
Let me find it. Colin, I'm sorry. He said Snead gets the best out of he got the best out of Snead. There's no other defensive coordinator out there that's going to be able to do that, pretty much. I agree with that. And in fact, got in a little bit of a debate with somebody the other day, or yesterday actually. If Snead does go to another football team, he won't be as successful. 2 reasons why. 1, he didn't have Spagnuolo. And 2, he didn't have a McDuffie on the other side. And that always makes a huge difference. So when you got a good partner, a good duo going, it makes you better. It makes you that much better. And if you don't have that partner, I don't think he's going to be as successful somewhere else. But look, man, the guy's got what, 3 rings now? Or is it 2 rings?
I think
he drafted 19 or 20?
Because I don't think he was here for the first one.
Yeah, so it was 2020. So he's got 2 rings. It's not like he's got and understand, everybody, he's made less than what, $2 million since he's been with the Chiefs?
He's made a little less than $5 million.
$5 million.
Yeah. So him getting basically a $20 million franchise tag,
that's huge,
is a 400% increase in his payroll.
Exactly. I mean, I don't blame him for wanting to get that money. And if he left today and said, okay, I'm going to go after the bag because the Chiefs aren't giving it to me, I'm not going to be mad at him. I'm just not. I would love for him to stay here because he is a perfect duo with McDuffie, and he's actually trained. He's taught these guys so much. But, it's money. It is what it is. Is signing Jones a given, or is it a 50-50? Well, look, I know you get nervous, Joe. I don't think it's a 50-50 at all. I think Chris is going to sign with the Chiefs. He doesn't want to leave. from what I understand, they're really close. So it is what it is. If you're worried about what he's saying on Twitter, don't, because he does that every year. He's just jacks with people. It's a constant given. It's just he loves to do that. I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about Chris Jones right now. He's the last one I would worry about.
Yeah,
Willie Gay is going to be gone. I mean, there's other guys that are going to be gone, but he's not going to go anywhere.
I understand like the nerves part of it, because the longer it goes on, the more likely he is to hit free agency, the less likely I think he signs here in Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree.
I also think that because Snead's not coming back, because I don't think Snead's coming back, I do think Jones is coming back.
Yeah.
If Brett Veach has done one thing, it's prioritize the trenches. Just
Yes.
look at what he's done draft pick wise, where he spent free agent money. You know, he has spent a ton of assets building the trenches on both sides of the ball.
Correct.
So I think that this is an example of Kansas City trying to go back and build the trenches by re-signing Chris Jones.
I agree. And, you know, you got guys that are going to leave. Willie Gay is going to be on. I don't think Donovan Smith's coming back. There's guys out there that, you know, are going to be, you know, cap casualties. But they're not guys that Willie Gay, I think, is the most athletic linebacker in football. There's no doubt about that. But can we replace him? Most likely. I don't believe that, Joe. I think he's definitely worth a one. He's better than Jalen Ramsey, and Jalen Ramsey pulled 2 firsts and a fifth. Plus some other, I think another. I can't see Veach giving him up for a couple of seconds or a second and a third. I don't know. I don't see why he would do that. He's pretty methodical when it comes to
I'm with Joe on this one. I think that Kansas City, I don't know if Kansas City gets that first round pick necessarily gets that first round pick because the team that trades for him is going to have to sign him to a huge contract. So I do think that takes it away. Plus, my other reasoning behind it is that we know that in terms of getting a first round pick or multiple later picks, the Chiefs and Brett Veach will go for those later picks. So think of the Tyreek Hill trade. Instead of trading him to New York for a first round pick, Kansas City opted to trade him to Miami for first round pick and some. So instead of getting more, because the Jets were offering 2 first round picks and a bunch of other stuff, whereas Miami was offering the 1 first round pick and some other stuff. Kansas City went with the more.
Yeah, but they still got a first round pick, though. That's the difference. Right. I understand that. But here's the difference. There's a guy in the draft that I think Veach really wants. And if he gets say he got somewhere in the low 20s on a first round pick out of this, then I can understand. Okay, well, that's what he's going for. I know who he's going for. Mm-hmm. But Veach did that for 2 reasons. One, he's really good at pulling people out of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 7th round. And he's done very well. So, yeah, the more the merrier when it comes to draft picks on a Tyreek Hill trade. And they paid him $30 million a year. I can see him saying, okay, give me a first, mid-20s first, find the right team, or even better, and then give me a third afterwards. You know, a conditional 5th. Jalen
Ramsey went for 2 firsts and a third. Or 2 firsts and a fifth.
2 firsts and a 5th is what he went for.
When he went from Jacksonville to L.A.
Correct.
So the first time he was traded. I think that if you're thinking about first-round picks, you're thinking of the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Lions. Those are the teams that and the Packers. Those are the teams that immediately come to mind. If you're
Miami's got a first-round pick they give up too, and I heard they're pretty interested in him because they're dying in that area.
Second-round picks, Washington, because they have all those assets from trading away Sweat, and that's what I think that you can, and Chase Young, right? They've got second-round picks, extra second-round picks there. So if you're thinking more along that line, I think Washington is an interesting choice for them to go with. So I do think that there is going to be a market for him in terms of what you can get back. I would much rather take the extra assets because you've been so successful in picking in those mid-round spots. You know, I don't need 1 first-round pick. I need to rebuild my defensive line. Yeah. So let me instead of going with, 1 guy, at the defensive line. Let me go ahead and get an extra 1 or 2 extra picks right in the middle of the draft, where I can go ahead and draft 2 guys to address the interior defensive line. So and I can just move on from there.
Agreed. And to add to your point, I mean, we've done so well with that, but then again, you have to look at, okay, who is going to go in the first round that we really want to target? That's something that I think Veach is looking at.
Mitchell from Texas.
He could be one. There's a couple of them. I mean, there's a few. Last year everybody thought Kincaid was going to go in the first 7 rounds. He didn't. I think he went 17th, if I'm not mistaken. Who knows where Brock Bowers is going to land? But Miami is dying in their secondary. They're dying on that hill. I mean, they've fallen down the hill and broken every bone on the way down. So I could see Miami going, okay. And look, the Chiefs are not threatened by Miami.
Right.
So,
I mean, as long as Tua is your quarterback, I'm not worried about you.
Exactly. So why wouldn't you take, if Miami's willing to give up a first and a second, or a first and a third, and maybe a conditional 5th or 7th?
That'd be funny if Kansas City trades, another player, another elite level player to Miami. That would be really funny.
And Snead would probably go down there because of Tyreek and because of, the warm weather and everything that goes along with it, because he doesn't really care as long as he's getting paid right now.
And
he's got his rings.
For a guy that has made relatively a small amount of money, from NFL standards,
Correct.
4th round pick, and you can go ahead and get yourself that huge contract and set yourself up for the rest of your life. Good for you, man. Go do it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. I mean, Pittsburgh is dying for him right now. Every Pittsburgh fan out there wishes to God he was playing for them right now, or he was already traded to them. I don't know if I know Veach is going to give him his options to a degree, but he's not going to go too far with it. He's not going to say, well, if I want to go play for the Raiders, no, sorry, not going to happen. He wouldn't probably send him to Denver either, or the Chargers for that matter, or even the Bills.
Yeah, there's about 6 teams you wouldn't want to send him to.
No.
But other than that,
Cincinnati is definitely a team you don't want to send him to.
Yeah, I don't care if they trade him to the Colts.
No, who gives a shit?
The Jaguars.
Nobody cares.
I think that, all right, that's it. I don't see any other.
I don't think there was any more.
See any other questions. That's going to be it for our show.
Yeah, definitely.
Make sure
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thursday. We'll have another show. We'll talk more draft stuff specifically. I've got a list of players. We're going to have some fun graphics that Thiz will make because, Thiz is good at that. So
he's good at a lot of things. We appreciate everybody for joining. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're not, jump on YouTube. The connection's a lot better. And we will see you guys again on Thursday. Peace out, everybody.